Oh, oh, this is so cool. Oh, man. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Trace Trades. We have technical analysis on different stocks in the stock market, as well as potential buy, hold, or sell opinions on these given stocks. I can preface by saying that I'm not a financial advisor or expert, so I would take it with a grain of salt. Let's get into the video. So today we're going to go over some lessons that I think are learnable from Microvision and how we can apply that to AMC. And I want to refer specifically to the technical analysis and the setup that we've seen before us on both of these stocks. But per usual, at least once a week, I like to do this. I like to come into the video and drop you guys a freaking monkey. We got Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta right here. This is how it was spelled in katakana, which is the phonetic English equivalent in the alphabet in Japanese. This would be Super Saiyajin 4, which is Yon, and then Vegeta, and there it is. He's got that nice tail. He's rocking that freaking mane of hair. It took way longer than I'd like to admit to draw, but that's all right. We spent a couple days and just knock it out a couple minutes at a time. But anywho, let's get into the video. So first thing I want to mention is the short interest data we've seen on Microvision, which, by the way, if you tuned into my live stream last Monday when this stock was trading at about 10 bucks, we actually said this is going to be a pretty good stock to play some far out expirations for like a $13, $14 strike option call. And if you nailed that sucker, man, holy freaking Toledo, you are cooking with Crisco. You would have made some stupid fat cash. So congrats to everybody out there who's printing on this. I'll be honest, I did not think this was going to continue to run today, but if you're continuing to hodl on, man, congratulations to you making some of those freaking tendies. But anyways, I want to show you guys the short interest data on Microvision, right? So you see the utilization is at 94.77%, which means that out of 100% utilization, if you had 100 total shares that are available for lending, this does not mean that they're all being shorted, but that you can lend out from a lending firm, right? That 94.77 of those 100 are lent out, meaning that only about 5.323 are available as of now. So pretty high utilization, right? Cost to borrow is 16.83%. Days to cover extremely high, sitting at 2.33, and it's actually gone up exponentially since you've seen the stock really start to squeeze up here. Actually down a little bit. My bad. I was looking at this wrong. But anyways, the shares on loan about 38.31 million, and the total float of the loan comes out to about 24.42%. Estimated short interest about 23.8%. Now, why am I showing you this, right? So you can see this is a pretty decently heavily shorted stock. It's got 23.8% estimated short interest percent of float. It's got 94.77% utilization, 38.31 million shares on loan, which makes up 24.42% of the free float on loan. Now, the free float is what's available to the general public, the retail investor, after the insiders and the institutionals have taken in their cut of the overall shares available to the market. Now, if you look at Microvision, what it's done here so far, right, the short interest has actually gone up, even though this is going up, so which means that shorts are doubling down. But regardless, you can see the price action here, right? 23-ish% short interest, and this stock has gone from $10 to $29 with nothing but absolute strength. Right? And I wanted to point this out because I think there's lessons that can be learned here from Microvision and applied to AMC. Right, so look at the numbers. You can see the absolute strength in this, and this is my take, right? This is obviously just my opinion. I have no idea, but what I'm seeing is just absolute hodling, right? People are just continuing to hold Microvision regardless of how much this is going for, right? I think this is honestly just getting picked up on Reddit. I know it's getting picked up on Reddit. The RSI, obviously, completely irrelevant as it's been trading over 70 for literally 2 freaking straight days. But the strength here shows you that people have been holding Microvision regardless of what they think the stock is going to do, right? It just continues to climb. People continue to buy. And shorts haven't even begun to cover yet. Honestly, what I think this major run-up is just some major delta hedging, which means that out-the-money call options have started to run in the money, and market makers have to hedge for the hypothetical shares, right, that they would have to send out if these options were exercised. So essentially, you got this extreme strength because there are apes out there who bought Microvision, who got call options, et cetera, that have bought this and continue to hold no matter what's happening. Now, I never intended for that to happen. That's not a message that I've ever preached. But if you were just look at the pure volume and the pure strength of this chart, right? The volume is continuously picked up. You see a generalized trend, right? It's just trending upwards right here. You can just honestly drop a picture perfect trend line of upwards momentum. I mean, you can see that clear as day. And I think the same thing is happening right now with AMC. You're in the beginning stages of upward momentum, right? If this is where Microvision, if this is where AMC is right now, this is where I would put it in terms of where Microvision's run-up was. Maybe here so far, right? I think AMC and Microvision, I was watching them when I was at work today, as you could probably tell when I was at work today, but I was watching them in tandem, and they were having a lot of the very same similar moves, which tells me it's a lot of the same key players, the big hedge funds, the institutions that are shorting both of these stocks, trying to bring them down to freaking zero. And both of them are given a good run for their money, and Microvision is nowhere near done. In fact, the short interest change is actually up today. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because I want to go over here to AMC and I'll show you exactly what the short interest situation looks like right now. It's better. It's 100% utilization. Your cost to borrow a hair lower, right? But this is a different, it takes a different value than you see on Fintel and the such. Days to cover continues to go up, is at 0.96 right now. And if you look at this on a short time frame, it's actually close to 3, which is more accurate when you look at the overall volume, differences that we've seen over the last 3 months, right? Shares on loan, 154 million, which makes up 37% of the free float on loan. Microvision was about 24%. And this actually has a little bit higher, just barely higher estimated short interest percentage of free float, right? So all of the things we've been saying over the last couple months, we're starting to see the freaking ball rolling. It's so cool to freaking see. Man, this is good. The short interest actually went up today. It went up 0.22%. Estimated current short interest percentage of free float is 23.68%. Borrowed shares, 3.24 million. Return shares, 2.89 million. If I had to take a stab at what you saw today on AMC, what would I guess? I would guess that this is the very beginning of some delta hedging that is happening from some out-the-money call options that started to run in the money. If you look at the options chain, right? Let's just take a quick peeky-weeky at the options chain. You can see that there is a pretty good stack of call options right here at $9, $10, $11. So these are pretty close to being in the money. At the very least, these $10 ones are over the break-even price now, right? So these are definitely in the money, probably starting to get hedged for. If they're not already hedged for, I bet you they'll start to tomorrow if this continues its run-up. This $12 strike is on the move now. $11, once this gets over, $12.20, $12.30, these are going to start getting hedged for, right? And this is going to continuously put the stock price up. Now, let's look at Microvision. You can compare the exact same thing, and I would almost bet you that you're seeing some very similar results. And in fact, you are. Look at this. Look at this. 1,000, 3,000, 2,000, 2,000, 1,000, all the way up to 20. You've got 17,000 call options, and it continues to run. $35 strike, you've got 18,000 of these. If this gets past $35, this runs up to 36, 37, I would expect a massive push on Microvision. And the only reason that I want to bring this point up is to show what can happen with AMC, right? Apes and Microvision right now, the charts don't lie, candles don't lie. That is just straight hodling and buying power and freaking no fear. They're holding. They're just waiting for the promised land right now. And if you're making money on Microvision, congrats to you. I'm super, super pumped for you. If you want to take some risk off the table, feel free to do so, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do. But the point is that you can compare this to AMC and where this can go down the road. You saw a lot of that same strength. This is the first time in a good minute where you've had just a straight up green day where we almost closed near the high of the day. I mean, we had 1196 at the high of the day, ended up closing at 1150, which is honestly really solid. I mean, you look at a retracement on this, a Fibonacci, this is disgusting. I mean, a 38.2% retracement is filthy. That is a stupid retracement. So the amount of strength that's coming into AMC right now, which I think, ties into AMC, to Microvision, which also would tie into GameStop, right? GameStop also had a beautiful day. It's up 10% in the after hours, had a nasty push up to $198 from an already green day, right? All of these heavily shorted stocks are starting to make their move. In fact, I'd be very interested to see what GameStop short interest numbers look like on Ortex right now, just so we can make a comparison. I bet you they're starting to look pretty freaking decent. Utilization 57%, so that's not crazy by any means, but the short interest is up 1.95%. Free float on loan, 31%, right? Estimated short interest, 26%. So the short interest on this is a little bit higher, not including ETFs, not including naked shorts, and obviously puts play into the equation as well, but is not considered short interest, right? Free float on loan just a little bit lower, but this is the exact same setup, right? You're seeing the same thing start to come to the equation, except the days to cover is lower, and the free float on loan is also lower. Regardless, all of these heavily shorted stocks are moving in tandem. This is exactly like the beginning of what we saw back in January. Guys, I don't like giving hard time frames, but I don't think it's coincidence that you're seeing a bunch of heavily shorted stocks starting to make some really freaking hard moves. GameStop up an absurd amount today, Microvision up an absurd amount today, and AMC with the best short interest out of all three of those companies right now, collectively across the board, all the data taken into consideration, in my personal opinion, this was the slowest mover. So I think this is lagging. I think this is a little behind where Microvision ran today and where GameStop ran in the after hours, right? I think that AMC's time is coming. I think it's freaking coming, my friends. I think there's some big takeaways to take from Microvision's run, from GameStop's run, from AMC's run here today. And the number one thing is the trend, right? So apes are hodling. They're doing their part. They're waiting for the attendees, man. And the second thing is the short interest, and it does not take much, right? Look at AMC. We've heard the story of Volkswagen squoze off of not a crazy amount of short interest, and AMC has actually got some stupid, ridiculous, record-breaking short interest right now. This is the best setup that we have had, in my personal opinion, outside of the days to cover, right? We've had the days to cover a little bit higher, but this is slowly creeping its way up. It's this light green trend line down here, right? A lot of great freaking things happening right here. So A couple last things that I want to say. If you're rocking some call options or you're holding stock in Microvision, you know, like I said in the last live stream last Monday, a week ago, I said that I thought I was going to run. I didn't think it was going to go this high. I'm going to be honest. I thought maybe like 17, 18 bucks and it would take a little bit longer. But if you're up a considerable amount of profit on some call options or on some stock, just remember to manage your risk, right? That's all that I'm asking for. It very well could continue to run. And if you want to continue to ride this sucker up, feel free to do so. But make sure that you're going to be able to watch this, you know, pretty regularly if you're going to rock this thing out, because at any given moment, if apes together decide to sell, it can really make some drastic pulls back. So just make sure that you're managing your risk. Make sure that you are locking in those tendies. We don't want you walking away, you know, out money or with less money than you deserve to have from this insane run up. Otherwise, I'm just cooking with Crisco and doing my own thing, baby. I'm rocking. How can you have a bad day? How can you have a bad day looking at AMC like this? I'll tell you that right now. This has been an absolutely beautiful morning. I wish that I was able to live stream today. So frustrating being at work from 9 to 5 and just watching AMC go up like that and not be able to go absolutely ape shit with all the freaking Gorilla Gang out there. But that's what I've got for you guys today. So kind of a mumbo jumbo video tied with a lot of different stuff, but I wanted to touch on a different couple topics, right? I want to touch on Microvision. I want to touch on AMC, GameStop, the short interest numbers, how all this compares, the strength of the markets today, right? Absolutely beautiful day, and that's what I've got for you guys. So if you enjoyed the video, you know, drop a like, yada yada, you know the spiel. Consider subscribing if you want to see more stuff like this. I've got a link in the description box to Webull if you want to check this out. 2 free stocks with a $100 deposit. It's open during all of extended hours trading, which is absolutely awesome. That's what I've got for you guys. So thanks for tuning in, my friends, my family, my fellow Gorilla Gang. Much love, peace, and positivity, and later.